Andrew, listen, the draft is over. Things have settled, but now we are moving into the summer. What is on the plate for you and these New England Patriots?
So today is the first of 3 OTA, basically just voluntary, non-padded practices that the media will be allowed to watch, study, report, and write on. My guy, Doug Kyde at the Herald, had a great preview this week of like what we're looking for. And so ultimately, this isn't as significant as the mini camp they're going to hold June 9th to 11th, where everyone has to be there, and it'll be more competitive. And a little bit more contact is going to be allowed than we'll see today and next Wednesday when we'll have the second practice. But, guys, it is a peak like we had last year. What's the new offense look like? How do the coaches interact? What does Drake Maye look like? Because this is officially year 2 now. And what does a guy like Stephon Diggs have? So it's a little peek into what we'll see for the rest of spring, which is all we're going to have until training camp rolls around in a couple of months.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm very curious because you wrote about this guy last week. Will Campbell seems to have seamlessly fit in, and he has the attitude that Patriots fans certainly love. What's your impression of him here the first few weeks after getting drafted?
So Will Campbell is basically the love child in Louisiana that Mike Vrabel never had. Like, he is as Mike Vrabel and as Louisiana as they come. And I say that in that his great-grandmother used to sit in the same seats at his high school watching football games, like before Pearl Harbor, as her daughter did and Will's mother did and he did. And so this is a guy who is bred to play football and has come into New England, not only as just your starting left tackle, but as the guy that Mike Vrabel wants to build his culture around. And talking to someone within the team the other week and right before the piece published, like they feel like he might be a captain very, very soon. I'm not saying as a rookie, but just keep in mind, even if that's next year, it's a second-year player who's 22 years old who come in and be a captain. And it took me a couple of weeks to figure out why, but it's all there in the story.
Okay, you mentioned second year for Drake Maye. Go back a few years, I was thinking that, Mac Jones, as everybody was saying, well, it's second year for Mac Jones, and he's going to get better. I had plenty of reservation about that because I knew the offensive coordinator was going to be changing, and I wasn't fully on board with the notion, because it's a fallacy, Andrew, that every rookie quarterback who has a decent year automatically has a better second year. I don't have the same trepidation about Drake Maye because I think, in terms of an OC, they're probably an improvement, or at the very least, they're not taking a huge step backward. But what are your indications? What are your thoughts about Drake Maye going into the second year? Should we be expecting improvement from him, or could it be one of those, if not a sophomore slump, at least maybe don't put your expectations up too high?
No, I mean, it's all system go on the Drake Maye hype train, Hardy, to be honest. And this even goes back to the combine where, again, I think Doug pulled this for our intel report coming out of the combine about what the Patriots are going to do in the draft and free agency. And he had someone tell him, Drake Maye and Mike Vrabel might be a top 5 quarterback coach combo in the league. And when you go to the other parts around them that are most important, you already named the offensive coordinator. I do think it is an upgrade going from Alex Van Pelt to Josh McDaniels for a couple of reasons. But another big obvious reason is the offensive line. Like, he can't get worse than the 31st pass protection offensive line in the league and the 32nd run blocking offensive line in the league. It's not just Morgan Moses and Garrett Bradbury who are fine, but it's Will Campbell and better depth around them. So when you give a kid better protection, you give him a more detailed, focused offensive coordinator, and better weapons whenever Stephon Diggs pops up, like everything around him gets better. I don't see why a kid who's already been working in the offseason program and is naturally talented as he is, who showed he can survive like offensive football apocalypse for stretches last year, can't do better now when the ground underneath him is a little bit more stable. It's not shaking anymore.
So you're not going to panic if, like, there's still hiccups, though, right? Like, I think Jaden Daniels has set kind of an unfair precedent. Oftentimes, like, last year, it was anything we saw from him athletically in terms of, anything we saw from athletically, we were just so impressed by. It wasn't even so much results based. It was just his ability to move in the pocket, his ability to throw on the run. Like, all of that was impressive, and you saw that there were skills there. But, this year, I think with the free agent additions and with the draft and the new coach, people are going to be expecting like actual results, wins, where do you draw the line? What's fair with your expectations with that, do you think, as a fan?
Yeah, it's a good question, Fred. And I think, honestly, Drake is still testing some of those limits, right? Whereas a rookie, you put that in the context of, he's going to have rookie mistakes or turnovers. If he turns the ball over at the rate that he did last year, that's going to be a problem in year two, because year two comes with expectations like you're talking about. So what he needs to show is improvement in that area, a little bit with the accuracy, I think, in terms of the decision making, because I'm not going to panic. Like Hardy references, Dak Prescott is a guy who had a down year two and then still rebounded and had a great career. So they are the exceptions to the rule. But for Drake Maye, I don't want to see an exception here when, again, we talk about everything around him, head coach, offensive coordinator, offensive line, has improved. So for him, you could say, I don't know, like a modest bump statistically, but also be the guy that's driving winning, not just the guy tying the game at the end of regulation in Tennessee, spectacular as that was. Win the game in overtime. Get it done. Do it against the Rams. Lead those final drives. That's what I want to see here in year two.
All right. Hardy, I thought you had something.
No.
Okay, so today we're gonna talk to Mike Vrabel. We're gonna see practice, and all the videos that we've seen, Andrew, so far from Mike Vrabel have been pretty interesting, to say the least. I don't give an F about last year. Why would I give an F about last year? Is he really that seamlessly kind of taking over and moving everyone in his direction, or there have to be some bumps here in his first year back?
If there are bumps, he'll own them. Like, this is his show, Wallach. He's done this before. Even when he was in New England, the best part about Mike Vrabel was he was always going to be Mike Vrabel. And sometimes that meant getting in your face as a teammate or certainly a competitor. Other times, Michael Holley's written about this and told this story. It was interrupting Bill Belichick to ask about in a team meeting. Like,
you can't say that. Whoa. Andrew.
You can't be doing that.
Saucy.
No, I think that's why you had me on this morning, if I'm not mistaken.
Wait, because we had to dump that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, you're not allowed to say that.
Very good.
All right, so what Andrew, the sex act part.
You can't say Belichick.
And you can't say Vrabel. You said Vrabel, there's a 5-time limit. What couldn't I say, you dumbass? What couldn't I say? You're saying that Belichick would interrupt, or Vrabel would interrupt Belichick at meetings to ask about oral sex.
One time, because Belichick was describing, and this is from Michael Holley's book. Everyone read it if you haven't. It's 20 years old now, Patriot Reign. But Belichick was describing how the media was going to prop you up. They're going to love you. They're going to do this. They're going to give you a certain sex act. And so Mike Vrabel raises his hand and says, Bill, but what are you talking about those certain jobs? And so, like, that's a guy, the point is, to Wallach's question, is the maximum comfortable in his skin. And he's in control, and he knows it, and he's an alpha personality. So however the Patriots play, it's going to be in his image, and none of this is fake. Because it wasn't fake 25 years ago when he was a player here and trying to make the team after being cut by the Steelers. Like, this is just Mike Vrabel. It's always been Mike Vrabel.
Okay. Go ahead, Sean. Please,
let's move off of that subject.
I'm shook.
You sure?
I'm still trying to recover a little bit.
And now it's not okay if it's the man doing it to a woman either. That you can't say that.
Right, we can't. So changing the subject
it's
entirely.
fair in both sexes.
Yes.
I don't know, Wallach. I feel like you set me up for that.
No. You did that all. You did that all to yourself.
This is a guy that did it. This guy's uncomfortable talking about Belichick with that youngster, and now here he is.
My goodness.
Talking about oral sex. My goodness.
I couldn't help but notice the contract that Brock Purdy signed with San Francisco, and I'll bring it back to the Patriots. Within the next year or 18 months, they're going to have to start talking to this kid about a contract. And if Brock Purdy gets $53 million a year, that's what this kid's going to get if he vaults into the stratosphere as you see him doing so.
Yeah, I mean, this is a problem that's 18 months away. Like, he's not extension eligible for another year and a half. But to your point, yeah, I mean, and that's part of the reason now. We've all been screaming about, the crafts need to spend more. And honestly, a better barometer for that is like things like the team playing in the weight room than it is a salary cap, because there's a salary floor, right? But, after they're bottom in the league over a 10-year span in terms of cash spending, and then they go nuts in 2021, they set the record again this year in 2024. That's got to continue, because you have this quarterback on a rookie contract. You did not take advantage of it with Mac Jones, who, let's be clear, They did not spend around him in 2022, his second year. They did not spend around him in 2023. And that probably doesn't keep them from disaster that ended up being those 2 seasons and last year. But to your point, like, that payday is coming. And the only reason it doesn't is if he collapses like Mac Jones, and nobody wants that. No one believes that's going to happen. So, yes, you better spend the money now and structure it in a way that when you have to pay Drake Maye, all those other contracts are kind of coming off your books.
Okay. Well, everyone.
Oh, boy.
Adam, I apologize for that, Adam.
Are we still shook in the studio?
No, no. It happens. It happens. I just do think it's funny that you're uncomfortable talking about Belichick's relationship, but yet
I'm not uncomfortable. It does not interest me at the level that it does you, Fred. Like,
well, then you're an idiot. You fool. You fool.
Fred.
You fool.
I came on this morning. I thought I was going to be like a dog getting medicine, where you would wrap peanut butter, like this Patriots talk, around the medicine, which was going to be forcing me to talk about Jordan Hudson again.
I don't want you talking about dogs and peanut butter either, Andrew, because you're going to take it to a weird place. And we've learned that you can't be trusted.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. If I can't be trusted on this show, then I guess I can't be trusted anywhere.
No, you can be trusted, but so much for the UConn broadcasting school. I mean, Jesus Christ. All right.
There's a bit in there.
What?
For this summer. I'll file that away. I was asking Wallach, this was a month ago, I think, when I was on for you, Fred, and he was talking about play-by-play guys who had the worst calls during the March Madness tournament. I said, Hardy and I should come up with our own, but have them be even worse as like a summer play-by-play bit. Because I'll tell you this, too. This is not going to do me any favors, but I'm married now, so it doesn't matter. I used to do like play-by-play of people on dates at a restaurant, like from afar. And it didn't flop. So there's stuff here if we want to workshop in the summer and leave the BJ talk to the side.
Okay, very good. He loves it.
He's really tiptoeing up to the edge now.
Yeah, you know what he is? He's Man Cow. Someone's been talking to Man Cow.
Wow.
All right. Look, Andrew, we appreciate it. Thanks so much for the time, sir, and we look forward to talking to you soon, having you in studio, filling in soon. Thank you for everything.
You got it. Anytime, guys.
All right.
See you.
Aloha. Aloha.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.